It's great to have you with us. We're going to talk about the future of smart and healthy buildings.
Yeah.
Let me do a short introduction so everybody knows who we have on the table. Everybody in real estate is talking about smart and healthy building, of course, and since COVID-19 hit, even more people do. One important topic is air quality, of course, and that is why we have Fahim Yigit from Virobusters with us. Fahim works mostly in Germany and the Netherlands. We have also Mark Richardson. He has worked over 15 years in leading global engineering consultancies in the building sustainability field. Before founding Mark Performance, Mark is working from China, but he is from the UK. Then we have two amazing developers from Europe. We have Johannes Nussbaum from Art Invest. Johannes is from Germany and is head of innovation. And then we have Tomas, and Tomas is partner at MiddleCap. MiddleCap has buildings in the UK and Slovakia, and MiddleCap has already a smart building certification, platinum, received for their Southwark building in London. And Art Invest is getting their first building certified with smart certification as well in Hamburg pretty soon. So we will see if that is also a platinum. I hope so. We don't know yet. Well, amazing to have you with us today, panelists. First question to you all. Can you please introduce yourself by telling a little bit on what you mostly like about the smart building and healthy building theme? Let's start with Fahim.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here this morning. From my point of view is the fact that air quality has been a latent need also in the real estate segment, and COVID made it an urgent need. So I was a little bit surprised that something rather conservative like air quality and air handling systems didn't got attention like IT or other stuff in the real estate.
Yeah, but now it's on the topic. Mark, what about you?
Good morning, I'm Mark. I work for Troup Bywaters Anders, an engineering partnership where I'm head of sustainable innovation. So for me, a smart building is very exciting. It brings together different systems within a building, and it also brings together performance aspects of that building. So when we integrate these two together, it's a great opportunity to improve both the efficiency of a building alongside the effectiveness of a building.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then we have Johannes from Art Invest.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Johannes. I'm head of innovation at Art Invest. We're a major German developer and asset owner, so we're responsible for buildings that are new, but we also have the possibility to improve and renovate old buildings. And about healthy buildings, I think we're spending so much time indoors, and that's why it's really important that we care about how healthy the conditions are, and just remember what kind of materials of construction were used in the last century that caused severe health issues. So I think it's important we focus on how to create working environments that keep people healthy. It's not only about air quality, but also about building materials and the way buildings encourage a healthy lifestyle or maybe a healthy day at the office.
And then we have Tomas Jurdak from MiddleCap.
Hello, good morning. For MiddleCap, the healthy and smart, the buildings are kind of artificial environment, and you are making it livable for people inside. And the smart element was big step because it brought data about the quality. So the smart element for us is data, which enables us to improve the environment or to follow the environment how it is.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that too. Well, amazing to have you all with us. Well, yeah. Mark, maybe we need to start with you about smart and healthy buildings, and why is that way more than only optimize energy consumption? What do you see as the main topic for smart and healthy buildings, and why do you see this?
Thank you, Wouter. For me, there's two very important aspects to a building. Firstly, we have the energy efficiency. So how much energy do we need to put into a building to make it function? I think we're all very, very familiar with that. The second important aspect is how effective is that building? So how well does a building enable people to perform? So when we get a high-performing smart building, we have a building that is highly efficient and highly effective. So we put the least amount of resources into a building to get the most out. And this is really where healthy buildings become very important for me, because when people are in a healthy building, so a building with good ventilation, low indoor pollution, good daylight, access to cycling, like we heard earlier today, the people in these buildings have better cognitive performance, so they perform better at their jobs. They're also happier, have better well-being, which is all good news, because that building becomes very, very effective. So we need to consider both efficiency and effectiveness side by side together to get a building that truly performs for today and for the people within that building. Yeah. And that's where smart technology comes in for me, because smart technology enables us to link together the machines in a building and also the environments of a building. So a simple example would be, say, demand control ventilation, where we understand who is in the space. We have occupancy sensors. So we can choose to turn the servicing on in that space only when people are in the space. So we're saving energy. And then once people go into the space, we put the systems on and we provide that excellent environment. So we're really responding to the real use of a building in real time.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. How do you see that, Johannes?
Well, I totally agree with Mark and also what Thomas just said before. Smart helps us to get the data so we understand what's happening. And of course, this gives us the opportunity to control based on user demand, based on quality. What I would like to put into the discussion is, of course, smartness helps us getting things transparent and measurable so we can react. But I think healthy buildings start a little earlier than that even. It's also about architecture. So a healthy building also maybe encourages people to move using the stairs, right? So it's about the design. Is the staircase hidden? Is it a purely evacuation staircase? Or is it also like attractive to use instead of the elevator? So again, that also feeds into not only healthiness, but also in energy consumption. Of course, it's also about air quality and measuring what's going on, keeping infection risks low, so as little surfaces to touch as possible, maybe. Another aspect was just mentioned with good lighting, but also a biophilic design, so bringing natural elements into a building like plants and green that help people feel better. So I think the overall goal is to make people feel good and actually provide a healthy environment with as little negative or hazardous material and so on as possible. And you can achieve that through different measures, and smart buildings are a great way to measure it. Sometimes maybe even you measure things that you know about and make things transparent. So from a asset owner leaser perspective, it could also mean that there are some obstacles to overcome to make those potentially negative data available. So it's also a question on like who accesses which data. Does an employer want his employees to see 100% of transparency what's going on or not?
Yeah, and I think what's so exciting about this conversation is, and this is one of my favorite topics, as you know, my PhD is in proactive employee healthcare. So I think it's really this idea that health is getting bigger, right? It's not just about having oranges in the break room and different things. It's architecture, it's technology, it's getting all this. But Tomas, what do you feel about this? Because you have quite a passion for healthy buildings, so curious.
Yeah. For us in MiddleCap is health somehow connected to natural environment, and the building itself is artificial environment. And I would follow on Mark, who was talking about the technology data. Then Johannes continued with the architecture, and I would move it even to total basics, like it's the natural air, it's the fresh, it's the natural light, it's the fresh air, it's the good quality water, like the basic elements in the building. Of course, Johannes mentioned biophilic design, so the greenery around the people. And I think the technology in the building to create a healthy environment is just supporting all the natural elements which should be available to the people. So I would put some kind of contradiction between the healthy and the artificial. So what we are trying to do in MiddleCap, we are trying to bring as much as possible of the natural pieces which are possible with the support of the current technology to bring them into the building.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because we spend, 90% of our time indoors? So and we're not made as human beings to be indoors. So bringing the outside in is key. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, Fahmi, everybody we had now talking on the panel is starting on air quality. How do you see air quality being evolved? Well, in new buildings it's probably easy, but we have so many, buildings standing there. What can we do in existing buildings?
I would say that new buildings are okay, because there is a major issue. I'm a scientist and an engineer. They're working in practice, so not on an institute, and I see that every concept or basic which is being done by an engineer does not meet the practical effectiveness. So that what they offer in engineering it will not reach in practice, because they offer you an installation which can do this, but in practice it doesn't meet that condition. And that's one of the major issues in real estate. If you would check now every new building according to the demands the engineer made, I think only maybe 30% will meet those demands. So if there is in the real estate also an after check, let's say validation. So this is very important from my side to check that, because we all know the issue of indoor air quality, the word, but who is familiar with the word perceived air quality? And that's the main, and perceived air quality doesn't make the costs, because it creates sick leave, it creates ineffectiveness of in productivity, etc., etc. And this is the major cost. And if you could control perceived air quality, which is related to the indoor air quality installation, then we have a good basic for the future buildings. And that's my opinion. First, the concepts should be rethought, not only focused on comfort and CO2, but also on healthy, in this case viruses mainly. And then the next point is theory versus practice. There should be also an after check.
Yeah, so measure during the existing phase is probably
exactly. And then there comes, of course, the data collection is very important to see, does it meet the demands we engineered in advance. And I see there a lot of stuff. I know one of the most interesting buildings in the Netherlands. It is 100 years old. 100 years ago, it was corona-proof. Really, it was corona-proof. If it would be stayed in the same conditions as it was. But 10 years ago, some engineers changed it totally and made it not comfort and not corona-proof anymore. So what is the solution?
Yeah, so we really need to look into what we are really doing and what we really are measuring in those buildings. probably. Yeah, and bring that data together. So, well, smart buildings are of course being created for the end user. What is the next level for tenants? What can they expect?
Or demand, maybe.
Yeah, what they probably demand. What do they ask?
Can you answer this too? Is this a pull system? Is this a push? What are we looking at here? Who should go first? Johannes?
Yeah, so actually today I'm at the construction site of one of our major developments, and I'm here because one of the prospective tenants was asking for solutions to bring people back to the office. They're a middle-sized company, very much focused on their employees. They want their teams to be in the office, but also, of course, not compromising their healthiness and infection risk. So for them and many of our clients, it's actually a big topic right now. How can we provide a healthy working environment at the office, and how can technology help? So we're seeing a major demand for transparent measurements, not only of CO2, which is a good proxy, but also air humidity as well. And how can a simple to install technology look like that, like also gives the information on a display easy to understand? Who can translate ppm into infection risk? So how do I make it transparent, maybe with the red, green, and yellow? So these are really topics that we're seeing actually in demand from many different tenants.
And what do you do in order to help to achieve those demands?
Well, actually, one of our smart buildings that we finished and we submitted for the Smart Building Award in Hamburg, Brooklyn, has kind of an air boost, so people can select on the touch panels in the room or on their app to get an air boost if they feel like it's not good enough. But of course, the air quality is measured and automatically controlled by the HVAC system.
And what happens when you ask for an air boost?
Well, the ventilation volume just increases for, I think, 5 minutes or so, and then goes back to normal.
Love that.
Yeah, cool.
And I love the controls. You know, they've done so much research into people having controls. I think that's a really powerful tool. Somebody has something to say to that.
Yeah, our philosophy is that, like, of course, a smart building should be intelligent enough to understand what's going on and react according to people's needs, or at least what the building thinks or what we taught the building to do. But you need to give the users control, and so that's why we have that air volume button.
Yeah.
What about you, Thomas? How do you see this? How do you reflect on this from MiddleCap's view?
Like we have all the controls and sensors to check the air quality and check the working environment of our occupiers. But I would like to follow up on what Fahmi said about the perceived quality versus the actual quality, and this is what we are trying to address with our research team, or it's maybe our smart team internally in MiddleCap. And that's why there is very practical tool, the smart app, which the people are giving you real feedback, and you can statistically check what is perceived quality and what is the actual quality, and that helps you somehow to manage the building quality internally. And with the statistical measurements, you can even remove some kind of differences between the people and their requirements, so you can find optimal environment for the company. What is super important on this, there is the background is the building, it's the environment of for the users, but they need to get actively involved. So we are providing the tools for them, but the companies, the occupiers, and the individual users, the employees, need to also get involved for us, the developers, to be able to help them.
That is maybe to add something, if you allow me, Wouter.
Yeah.
That's exactly the issue. I mean, we have a lot of buildings who, from technical point, provide 10,000 cubic meters of clean air to the office building, but from the 10,000, only 3,000-4,000 comes to the employees. Yeah, because the concept of the ventilation system is not, ideal. And this is also an issue. So it's not only the perception and the perceived, but also from technical emitted quality. And so we have emission. What does the installation provide? The transmission, what comes to the employees, what arrives to the employees, and emission is how do they perceive it. So this is very important, in my opinion, and I see on all three levels improvement potentials.
Yeah. I think air quality is actually a good kind of symbol for the experience of healthy buildings as a whole. So people, it really matters what people are experiencing. You know, we're not pushing people in and saying everything's good, everything's healthy. It's really about pulling people back to the office and having them say, this does feel good, this does feel safe, I do want to be in the office, I am comfortable, I believe in the system and the building. So I think that's really powerful. Mark, from a consultancy point of view, do you feel like this is, because MiddleCap and Art Invest are amazing builders. Is this happening across the board? Is this just a luxury product now? What do you see with buildings like this? Is it something we can all expect?
You know, just to talk a little bit about my time in Asia here, I think it's very appropriate. You know, back in 2011 now, in China, we had what was called the air apocalypse, where the air got so bad, people were literally afraid to go outside in the street. And this led to a lot of smart technologies around monitoring inside buildings. So at least when you got to the building, you knew you were safe. And this fits into what everybody's talked about today so far, is providing that peace of mind to people within a building was very important. You know, I'd say Europe's probably 10 years behind that wave. And I think in the next couple of years, we'll see a lot of this technology gain momentum within Europe and the US. But just to further that discussion a little bit, air quality is very important. It is a key touchstone issue because it directly impacts health in a negative way. I think we're going to see a lot more around the issues that can improve performance as well. So it will be the more holistic view of a healthy environment. So our thermal comfort, are we too hot? Are we too cold? Is it too humid? The daylight in a space. And back to Thomas and Johannes's comments right at the start is, you know, bringing these really fundamental elements of architecture do enable better passive performance of buildings, or bringing the outside in. And that's what we'll start to see filtered, data collected through smart technology and fed to the people within the building to really give them a strong understanding and also control of their environment.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, where is this going to start? Because that's always my question. Is this going to start from the technology and the opportunities and the chances that we have? Or is this coming from the consultancy part that is going to say, well, we need to do this? Or is this the developer that is going to demand for this change? Or is it the tenant?
Yeah.
Where is the biggest question coming from? And who is pushing this the most forward?
No.
Who is?
Who wants to answer?
Yeah.
Who pays?
Or are we all doing our part?
I think on this panel we have a very mixed panel, don't we, which shows that the level of industry, the level of interest and knowledge is quite evenly spread across industry at the moment.
But Walter, if I can comment on this one, if I remember, because I'm quite old now, if I remember real estate development from 10 years ago, everything was around the final investor. We were producing investment product, and everything needed to comply with the requirements of the final investor. What is extremely different today is that when you look at the building, you look at the new site, everything starts with a single occupier, with a person who is coming every morning to work, and you are building the building around the building, not about the final investor. You are building the building around the end user. And I think this is a significant change in the view how to develop buildings today.
Yeah.
I would like to add, I agree. What we see is also the planners and consultants play a big role, because many landlords trust their consultants and their planners. And we sometimes see that there's still a lack of innovative solutions in the planners world, not only about ventilation, but also other topics. And we would love to find and meet more forward-thinking planners that question maybe the status quo of what they are doing and look for better solutions. And that's where I think there's still some room for improvement.
Yeah, so we all need to inspire all different kind of stakeholders within the industry, and for sure the planners. Yeah.
I think technology will be hybrid. That means it will be on demand. And if the season or the pandemic threatens, then you change, let's say, the installation quality or installation concept. So the new buildings are becoming literally smarter and more flexible. That's, I think, a demand for the future, which will be more and more.
Well, we have 4 more minutes left on this panel, and what I would like to talk with you about is that, we started, I think, 6 years ago with PropTech and technology within real estate, but a lot of technologies have come into the industry. What do you see that is needed from technology point of view to fill in maybe the missing gaps that we really need to really create those smart and healthy buildings? Who can reflect on that? Mark, Thomas?
From technology point, I can only add that it has been scientifically proven that the perceived air quality problems are created by filtration, by mechanical filtration. So solutions like UVC, which can be on demand, you put them on and off if you need them, could be a very interesting addition to buildings, because if they are off, they don't cost anything. And if you like a fire security system, on off when you need it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I wouldn't say a technology as such. Well, obviously, yes, UVC. That's a good example. But I would say more generally, bridging the gap between design and operations is a key challenge across the industry at the moment. And there are a couple of tools in place, such as extended commissioning, post-occupancy evaluation, data-driven commissioning, and all these tools are going to start to help us move from design to operations more effectively.
From MiddleCap's perspective, I think there are great improvements on the smart way how we operate building, how the buildings are occupied and how they are used. But where I see lack of innovation and lack of improvement is the construction business itself. Like, it's still kind of medieval, building bricks on bricks, and there is not really improvement, and that's the real impact of construction or real estate industry on the environment. So I would expect some significant smart solutions for the physical building.
Yeah,
that's great.
I totally agree with that, Thomas. Yeah. And what about you, Johannes? Because I can imagine that your email and cell phone are being blown by all kind of technology solutions. What do you see happening in the space the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, it's really a challenge. We are very open at Art Invest, and we have established our Art Invest Smart Lab, where we are testing smart solutions for all kind of fields. And the challenge is really to keep track with all the different technologies coming up, evaluating them, And we're doing this by testing solutions in our smart lab. So we really learn on how to implement this, how complicated is it to install, to commission, and also how stable is it in operation, how is the after-sales service, because all this matters, the whole chain from planning to operation. And then that's one challenge, to keep track, to operate systems, because not everything that's easy to install is easy to operate or really reliable. And the other challenge is, of course, to bringing all these different isolated solutions together to one ecosystem. And then it's about APIs and interconnectability.
Yeah, that's the next step we're working on.
Yeah, and I love a good experiment. So cool that you guys have a lab to do that. All right.
Well, thank you very much for your insights this morning about smart and healthy buildings. And wish you all a good day.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I hope to see you all back soon.
Very refreshing take on this. Really like it. Thanks.